Welcome, everybody, to this episode of O365Eh. On this episode, we're pleased to welcome and talk to Mark Armstrong, who is the director and founder of Code Software. Code Software makes a wide range of smart tools to manage your UC environment, including cloud-based reporting, analytics, management, and recording tools for Microsoft Teams and 365. So we're going to talk to him today about his latest solution for Microsoft Teams. Welcome, Mark. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and Code Software?
Thanks, Curtis. Hi guys. So a bit of background on Code Software. You might have seen yesterday was our 10-year anniversary. So it's 10 years ago yesterday that myself and exactly and a couple of very clever guys in Romania launched Code Software. So going back 10 years when we launched, our background was really in reporting and analytic tools for PBX environments. The reason we got together and formed Code at the time, UC platforms were really coming into fruition, and we, between the three of us, felt that the market really needed a solution that was designed and developed from day one with the more complex UC reporting requirements in mind. Our background, believe it or not, at the time was in Cisco, so we kind of naturally thought we'd follow that route. What happened back 10 years ago, as I'm sure you guys can remember, is Microsoft were just kind of putting their feet into the voice, the UC arena. So we decided at a very early stage to align with Microsoft, and we've done that, and we've followed the journey from OTS, Link, Skype for Business, and of course now Teams. Over the 10 years, we've developed and really grown the portfolio base, expanding out of reporting and analytics or complementing the reporting and analytics to a position now where we've got real-time wallboards and reporting for call queues and auto attendance, which is as I'm sure you all can associate with, it is a big requirement in the market. Curtis, you touched on the fact that we do voice recording as well, so we've certainly got that. We've grown since 2013 to a position now where we've got offices in the UK, in the US, in New Zealand, and in Romania. So we've got a global coverage, a very large Microsoft base. And what we're going to talk about today is our latest offering, which was born really out of I suppose frustrations or certainly customer requirements of our existing account base when they were looking at really license lifecycle management of their M365 licenses, and I suppose frustrations around visibility, the ability to easily slice and dice the information, and really cover off the areas of license consumption, and right sizing licenses and cost savings and all of those good areas. So as I said, that's really what I'm going to focus on today. I'll give you a quick run through of the software. I've mentioned about those key kind of business drivers, the rationale around why we've actually developed the solution. So if you bear with me, I will share my screen, and I'll give you, as I said, a run through of the solution.
Sounds good, Mark. And a quick question, I noticed, Clava is your umbrella suite. So this is another solution which fits under the Clava umbrella, if you will.
Exactly, the Clava suite of software. So it's a modular suite of software. We've got the module looking at the call queues, about general Teams analytics, the voice recorder. We've also got a range manager in there, so looking at DID ranges to manage, and this module that we're looking at today, Clava LA, the license adoption module.
All right.
Good stuff. So without any further ado, I'll run through a really quite a rapid demonstration of the software, showing some of the key concepts. I think certainly the design concept that we've applied to the software is the ease of access to relevant data, and the fact that you can configure it, all users can configure it to their own requirements. A lot of reporting tools out there very much tell the end users what they're going to see because of their reporting. We've flipped that concept on its head, and it's the users telling the software what they want to see, if that makes sense. So we start at a very high level. We can look at the licenses. So throughout the software, the way that we actually import the data, we import from AD, but also use Graph to actually import the usage of the different license SKUs. You can see here I'm using a demo environment, of course, but the licenses, all of the different license counts, you can see if they're enabled. You can see the consumption of the licenses, the monthly costs, the unassigned costs. In this case, we've got a lot of licenses. There's actually 75. But what we can do, for example, is just look at our core licenses. So the core licenses are going to be the E licenses, the F licenses as well, if applicable. Of course, the A licenses if it's in the case of education. So I've just filtered this particular page to look at the core licenses. Costs, of course, pretty much there isn't a published list price really for the licenses. So certainly within the software, if I've negotiated specific charges for the different licenses, I can go in, as you can see here, and apply my specific or unique licensing cost to that license. Of course, that ensures the integrity of all of the data that is being produced as you run through and use Clobber LA. So that's an overview of the actual licenses. The way that we present the data, I suppose, is in two ways. We've got the dashboard, which gives it the visualization of the consumption and usage of the licenses, and then we've got the reports as well. Within the software, there's the ability to apply my own analysis rules if I need to do specific analysis on licenses. But let's start off with the dashboard. So as I mentioned, the software throughout is user driven. So I can create and start building out a new dashboard if I want, and I'll just click on that there, and then I just simply go in and select out the different widgets that I want to apply to the dashboard. So it might be a couple of snapshots that I want there. I might want to see some license trends. I could look at the unassigned licenses, and also I've mentioned about the analysis as well. So I can very simply drag and drop, resize, and create this dashboard layout to look at exactly the way I want. Once I've brought the widgets onto the main page there, as you can see, I can go in and start applying filters to the individual widgets. So here on that snapshot view, you can see it defaults to license cost per city, but it might be that I want to look at count and not cost. So I can look at the license count, and then I can start applying filters. So maybe I want to look at specific country, state, city. So all of these AD elements I can apply as the filters. It also supports custom attributes. So if an organization is using custom attributes, it might be cost codes or different elements. Again, I can apply them to the filter in here. Products, if I was just looking at analysis of E5, E3, for example, then I'd select that into the actual filtering capability that we're seeing here. So once I've applied the filters, it will update, of course, that individual widget. Throughout the software, again, easing the use of the software, there is click through and drill down capability. So here you can see, if I mouse over all of the different elements within the pie chart, that I actually get that detailed information. Once I've built out the dashboard, I save it, and then of course I can load out different layouts, pre-saved layouts. So here's one that I've called the landing page, and you can see I've configured and built that out to my specific requirements. And some of the click through then, for example, there you've got license count by countries. So maybe I want to do analysis on the licenses in the US. So I simply click on that area, it now drills down, and I can see all of the license information for that particular country. You can see how many enabled users, disabled users. So these are AD disabled accounts that I still effectively have a license allocated to it. Again, there is click through on that available. I can continue to drill down into the cities, for example. So here we can see in New York, and then the departments. I'm clicking through onto the individual departments here, and you can even drill down to the individual user level. So maybe I want to do some analysis on one of the individuals as well here. So I simply click on that individual. I can see instantly the licenses, the associated licenses, the costs of OneDrive usage, the application usage as well. So you can see here the access time, whether it's mobile, web, or the Windows. We've got the applications, Word, Excel, Outlook, all of the different applications, and when they were last actually used and logged into. So hopefully what I've demonstrated there is, from the dashboard, from that very summary high level, it's very easy for me, even as a non-technical user, to drill down and get some very detailed information, as you can see there. So that kind of concept is applicable throughout all of these widgets, where I've got drill through and dash that, drill through details on there. You can see some of the other widgets. So let's take, for example,
so Mark, just before you dive into that, I just got a question. So from looking at this from like an overall organization perspective, do you have the ability to sort of break it out into cost center as well? So like if I wanted to do sort of like a bill by department, so for instance, let's say we're purchasing some additional Power Platform licenses or something else, specific to a department, we want to be able to sort of bill back to that department themselves.
Absolutely. So that lies really in the reporting side of the software, and you can see there the recharge, which is effectively bill back. So it's slightly different to the dashboards. And what I do when I select out the recharge, what you'll see is, just clear that down. It is effectively a list of all of the license types which are coming through here. My laptop is incredibly slow, I'm afraid. But there you can see that the grand total when the actual figures come through. So here are the details. So that particular kind of use case that you'd said there about recharging, I can effectively do that, or bill back to the individual departments. You can see here I've just filtered on E3 licenses. I could have all of the licenses. And what I can do then is, for example, if I want to group this report into country, you just select out which of the columns you want to group by. And it's a very simple way of, again, for even non-technical users, to manipulate the data within the report. So you can see here it's now grouped at this top level of country. I could drag departments up there, so to go country and then departments, for example. But here you can see that the first country, beginning with A, is actually Argentina, and then at the bottom there you can see for Argentina with their E3 licenses, the total monetary value is I've got my glasses on, is 91,000. What we can also do to this is actually apply a percentage uplift. So if an organisation is looking at doing bill backs internally and they want to put a percentage uplift on the license cost, there's also the ability to do that.
Awesome. I think Michael also has a question as well. And then Dina.
A couple questions. The reporting on the usage, do you have the ability to say, like, find users that are assigned E5 that maybe are not using phone systems, so you can have an idea of maybe you need to adjust those licenses? Or how granular can you kind of report on the usage to understand if they're maybe over licensed or under licensed?
Yeah, great question, Michael. I mean, what that refers to is effectively the analysis rules. So what I can do, and this allows you really to get as granular as you like. So I've gone into the analysis rules here, and what I want to do is create a new rule. I think did you say disabled users with oh no, you said that E5 to E3, didn't you?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What we've got here, one of the predefined rules is E5 to E3, and it exactly addresses that scenario, Michael, where if an organisation has bought E5 licenses and some of the users aren't using the workloads within there, then of course there's the ability to downsize them or bring them back to E3 potentially. So you can see that the particular rule here is E5 to E3. But again, even with the rules, I can tailor them to specific areas. So I would call this, I put the title in there, but you can see the different areas there. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all of the different areas. But what I'd do, I'd save that rule. I'd then run that rule in the analysis here. And once that rule has been run, it effectively will show here exactly that information, that the users that can be moved from E5 to E3 licenses. Again, you're going to have to bear with me slightly as the
and those analysis rules, those are canned, like most, like the templates are kind of built by you. And then, so like an example, like maybe you're looking at Teams Premium and you want to see, are they using premium features? Or when Copilot comes out, are they, using, Copilot efficiently, or should it be allocated to someone else? Are you create those analysis rules and then? Yeah,
we do that exactly. Yeah. And here you can see it's displaying all of the rules, but what I'd do is just filter on that E5 to E3, and here you can even see the actions or the proposed actions where it would be to replace the E5 user with license with an E3 user license. You can even include the license rules on the dashboard here as well. So for example, and again, let's go into that scenario that you mentioned of E5 to E3. If I've got it through here, let's just check. So I've got some replay. Yeah, there's replace E5 with E3. So I'm just going to change the text at the top there. Replace E5 with E3. And I can put thresholds on this as well. So it's got the red, amber, green scenario. So that's particularly relevant for really large organizations where they're going to want to apply thresholds that they'll give themselves a certain amount of tolerance for the rules, but if it exceeds that tolerance on the dashboard here, you'll be able to see instantly because of the thresholds that I'm applying there.
Do you have the opposite scenario? So like, hey, we have a bunch of people with E3s and a whole bunch of add-ons that are actually in E5. Makes sense to go to E5 and upstep?
Yeah, not at the moment, not currently, no, unfortunately. So what you can do though is do the analysis of the workloads within there. So what we have got is duplicate licenses. So if someone does have E5, for example, and it is
E3.
exactly all of that side of things. So we can certainly do the analysis on there. I've got to say one of the biggest ones that we're finding since the launch of the product is the disabled AD with a license. I'm sure you're familiar with the scenario where an employee leaves the company, they're disabled in AD, but that account effectively, or the license, has not been reallocated or disabled. So you can see here in the case in the bottom right hand corner, in the right hand side there, that there are those disabled AD users with licenses. Again, same kind of concept, go in, filter it, change it round. But what you can also do, as I mentioned, is click through. So I can click through and instantly see all of the disabled AD users with licenses, and you can see the total cost in there as well. What you can do within the software as well throughout all of these reports is actually select or deselect the columns, and that's certainly quite relevant or very relevant in the reporting side, both on the recharge and the usage, where there are multiple columns that you can select out. So here, for example, with regards to the usage, we can look at the app usage, the last login on Teams, for example, or Outlook or Word. So I can go through and basically select out which of the applications that I actually want to see, or do some analysis on, whether it is Teams or it might be other areas on there as well. Select out the columns and create them here, and then you can instantly see the details, whether it is Teams last login and might be last login on the web. So a lot of detailed information, getting very granular, and really, I suppose if you step up back to the higher level, it's about the consumption of the licenses, about right sizing and just ensuring that an organisation's investment in M365 licenses is correct, and that they're of course making the most benefit as possible. What we are finding is a lot of organisations, for example, will purchase a lot of E5 licenses. There's a reason they've done that. They need the voice, the conferencing, all of those different workloads. What our software will show is users that aren't using the workloads correctly. Now, they don't have to instantly downgrade to E3. What a lot of customers are doing is using it as an opportunity to train the users to make sure that they are using the licenses correctly, and then of course that they're getting the maximum benefit from their investment in the licenses effectively.
So Mark, you touched on the optimization, and I had some follow up with that. I spend a lot of time with voice customers, and often we find that they've deployed Teams phone system and they've chose like a 3,000 minute plan, and there's users barely touching, maybe 10 minutes of calls a month or something. So are you able to even dive into like the usage, and I'd have the same question for, Power Apps. If the orgs chose a user-based license versus an app-based license, like, can it help make it more intelligent decisions to say, look, these people are on a 3,000 minute plan. What if you drop down to a 120 minute? They could drop down to a 120 minute plan. Like, is it able to do things like that within the licenses?
Yeah. So we again, there's a couple of ways of doing that. I mean, you've mentioned about the different plans, if they can drop down. We can do that via the analysis rules. But also our core solution, Clobber, outside of LA, is very good at slicing and dicing actual usage of voice effectively. So you can certainly see that the number of minutes that are being utilised for individual users as well. as I mentioned, outside of this particular adoption module. So let me just, yeah. So you can see some of the standard analysis rules you've mentioned. Again, replace 240 with 120. So again, I can go in there. It gives you a summary. It checks whether a user has less than 120 minutes per month, and so I can enable that rule and very quickly get that list of actual users that the rule pertains to.
Hey, Mark, quick question about licensing for all our viewers out there. Is this licensed per managed user, or is it an enterprise tier? How's it licensed?
Yeah, well, we actually base it around core licenses. So any e-license effectively would require a license. There's a separate or lower fee for the frontline licenses, the F licenses as well. But it is effectively priced on licenses that we're monitoring. It's an annual subscription as well. And yeah, certainly more than happy to share pricing with anyone that is interested moving forward.
All right. And if someone wants to trial this, do you offer sort of free trials, 30 days type thing?
Yeah, it's probably worth touching on the whole kind of registration and installation, I suppose, of the software. It's entirely a cloud-based service based out of Azure. It's very simple for a end user to register onto the software. You need a Teams administrator role. It's literally 5 minutes installation. Once it's installed, depending on the size of the organization, it can take up to 24 hours to populate all of the license details. Once installed, you will effectively start a 14-day trial. Now, what we've had to do, of course, we trust everyone implicitly. However, there were a couple of rogue companies that would effectively install it, right size, see all of the relevant details and say, thank you very much. So the trial, none of the features are cut down, it's what's delivered. So for example, on the reporting page, you would only see, I think it's 4 or 5 lines of detail on there. Again, so you can just verify the concept of the software and that it is actually going to give you meaningful data. Once you've run through the 14-day trial, it's as simple as notifying us, and then we would effectively activate the full version of the software.
Got it. Okay, sounds good. Well, I see lots of really interesting things I'd like to ask more questions about, but maybe we'll cap it at that. Mark, this looks great, and yeah, I think anyone who has license management needs to be interested in this, especially around all the new add-ons coming out from Microsoft, right? Trying to right-size your users and make sure they're properly licensed. So, really appreciate you coming on, and thanks for the all the great information and demo. And yeah, we'll catch you on the road sometime. Thanks, Mark.
Will do. Enjoy the rest of your day, gents. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye bye.